We're Ryan and Misty. After coming home from a 2-month-long road trip in 2019, we've been obsessed with eventually getting back on the road. So we've spent the past 4 months converting this big white van into a tiny home on wheels so we can get back to traveling with our kids. 2 fluffy cats, Sammy and Smalls, and our extremely spastic dog, Sookie.
Good God!
We've made tons of progress, had our ups and downs, but now we're finally on to the last major job of this build. So sit back, grab a beer, and enjoy the show. So you might be thinking, but my very entertaining and devilishly good-looking YouTube friend, how exactly are you planning on traveling with 2 cats and your crazy dog in this van? And I would say, my very curious and obviously genius viewer, screens. I'm about to screen this whole baby in. But if I'm being honest, this is the job that I've been most anxious about from the start of this build. Not just by the nature of it being the final job and I'm anxious and super ready to get this whole van done, but because it all has to be pretty airtight. We have to be able to keep the animals secure and safe, which is our #1 priority, their safety. And as straightforward as this all seems like it might be, I have a feeling this is going to be much more involved and complicated than I can imagine, so let's get to it.
Skyline. Now there was born that Arizona sun, and I felt the cold of baseball in Boston.
So I was absolutely right. This has been an absolute pain in the ass. Every angle on this thing is insanity. Every weird little turn is difficult to figure out. But I did get one thing built today, and that is Misty's little cubby hole. This side of the bed is Misty's side of the bed. And before I built this little thing, she had absolutely nowhere to keep like a drink or a book or a phone or anything. So now we got this whole thing spanning the width of the van. So there's that. But I did get a little bit of a late start on the day, so I think I'll be back at it tomorrow morning. I'll see you bright and early. All right, we officially have a rear screen. I think it turned out great. It turned out better than I anticipated. But there's one thing though. I really hope we never have to change a tail light, because if so, I'm gonna have to take this whole thing apart. And that's gonna be a genuine nightmare. Fingers crossed for the next 5 to 10 years of good, healthy tail lights. On to the front. Like that, we officially have a screen over the kitchenette. In reality, this has all taken like 3 or 4 days to build. I just have like 6 of the same outfit, and truth be told, I didn't really feel like talking to the camera for a few days. But we have this little flip out so we can reach and close the door. Also, Misty can hand me beers, that's the most important part. But we have a screen over the kitchenette. I may rebuild it in the future. As much of a pain in the ass as it's been, I may actually rebuild it in the future because the front trim work is kind of shoddy, and I don't know, I'm just not too keen on it. On to the next thing, the big thing, the door. Remember all my complaints about the angles? Well, this is where things really got frustrating. So my plan was to have a door go right there, slide right behind the kitchenette. But there's a couple big problems with that. One, I need to be able to reach that door handle right there. And two, if I have something slide back behind here, I'll need to build some sort of elaborate access panel that can fit inside this access panel, which is just not gonna look good, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And that's not even the worst problem. You can see right here, if I were to put this piece of wood acting as a door, going straight up and down, it would never connect to the top. There's a slight bend to the van door frame. So the wooden door frame would have to have a slight bend as well, just to get behind the kitchenette. And this is just 1/4" luan. A door frame's gonna have to be much beefier than that. So I have to find a way to bend wood. So I tried a technique called kerfing. I believe that's what it's called. It's where you cut a thin little piece out of the wood and then you can bend it. The more thin pieces you cut, the more of a bend you get. But even with just the one little line cut out of this wood, it's too much of an angle. It bends it far too much. And if I go shallower with the cut, the wood breaks every single time. I'm all out of ideas on this one. I have no idea how to solve this problem. So I pondered, and I pondered. I pondered with beer, I pondered with pizza, and then I pondered with more beer. Days on end. Why can't I figure this out? Until finally, a thought. Huh. Hold up. I think I've got an idea. What about no door at all? Or at least, no real door. Well, that looks absolutely terrible. I was really hoping that I could just DIY this whole thing and figure it out along the way like I have done the rest of the van, but I don't have a single clue what the hell I'm doing, so I think it's time to bring in the big guns. So I'm gonna leave the van with a guy named Feroz. He runs a business called Resurrection Upholstery. It's like 5 minutes from our house, which is super convenient. He and I have this sort of intricate idea with screens and zippers and Velcro and snaps, and I'm not sure why I thought that being a person with literally zero sewing experience, I would be able to make something functional, let alone look pretty, and most importantly, safe for the animals. So I'm gonna leave the van to him, let him work his magic, and in a couple days, we'll have some screens and the van will pretty much be done. I think it's important to admit when you're in over your head, or at least when it's time to hand over the reins. You know, if this build has taught me anything, it's that given enough time, practice, patience, and sometimes booze, you can figure out and do virtually anything. I've had this sort of life mantra lately that comfort equals death. The death of creativity, the death of experience, the death of growth. Well, this project has truly taught me about discomfort in the best ways at the end. I'm not a carpenter, I'm no woodworker, and from the start, I've been absolutely terrified and uncomfortable. I've run through it with jokes and exciting edits, but truly, honestly, it's been rough. But jumping into this project clueless and full steam ahead, I've grown quickly in unimaginable ways. Creative ways. My patience has been tested. I've had my ups and I've had my downs, but through all of it, it's also come to cement the fact that no matter what, it all comes out even in the wash. Because to be uncomfortable is to learn. It's to grow. That's enough out of all that because it's done. The last big job on the van is complete. Check it out. So obviously we got Feroz to redo the screen section over the kitchenette. There's a couple reasons for that. One, I just didn't like it. I thought it looked terrible, so all that gratuitously intense editing and music from earlier was completely pointless. And two, the screen in the rear and what was up here is completely different than the new stuff. The new stuff is marine grade, so it will be stronger and hold up to the elements better. And on top of that, having two screens that are completely different right next to each other was just gonna look bad. It's all held down with this really high strength Velcro. Some of you are probably wondering why we didn't just go with like the simple and easy magnet screen route. Well, those aren't really the most secure, and Suki would definitely just plow right through it if she saw a deer or something. He also built these pretty cool things right here. We're calling them baby gates. It's just a deterrent for the cats, just to prevent them from eventually pawing at the zippers and working those up so they can escape. It's just another level of protection for when Misty, Sookie, and I are chilling outside. We are absolutely pumped about this. These things turned out way better than we anticipated. But now it's time to move on to the trickiest part. Actually saving up enough money to be able to hit the road. Between now and then, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with myself. It's been a fun, rewarding, sometimes frustrating and stressful few months, but it's done. It's finished. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more content. All that stuff really helps the channel grow. Plus, you'll just get to see me make more of a fool of myself. Also, leave a comment below if you have any questions about anything specifically. I'd love to have more of a connection with the folks watching. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.